Hey everybody. So I've been seeing a lot of videos showing up in my YouTube feed recently about how D&D YouTube is apparently dying, and I feel like I've got a little bit of a unique perspective on the topic. So I figured I'd do a quick little video today to share that perspective and maybe potentially shed a little light, a little optimism, maybe even on the subject. Welcome to D4. Right, so thanks for clicking on this video, even though the thumbnail and title were maybe slightly optimistic. That's kind of my MO. Usually on the channel, for those who are new here, I like to do character build videos, mostly for D&D. I don't typically do a lot of like topical news stuff. This one's going to be a little quick, pretty unscripted, less polished than usual. But yeah, a lot of people are talking about this, right? D&D YouTube is dying, or I've seen counter arguments to that claim too. I've watched videos by some of my colleagues, I guess you'd say, that I respect, that are kind of weighing in on both sides of the issue. And, you know, admittedly, it is something that I've been thinking a lot about lately myself. My own YouTube numbers, to be a little transparent with you, have been relatively low for the last few months. Most videos that I've been putting out recently have been coming in like ranked 9th or 10th out of the last 10. YouTube gives you this metric and makes you feel bad about yourself a lot as a result. And yeah, I mean, that can definitely feel disheartening, right? Compound that with the fact that the ad revenue that YouTube has been paying content creators per view seems to be lower recently than it's been in a really long time. And yeah, as a result, it can feel like the sky's falling a little bit. That said, one thing to keep in mind, YouTube metrics have always had like peaks and valleys. Views, view duration, subscriber gains, click-through rate, like amount of revenue earned per view. There are so many factors, economic and otherwise, that go into how our channel's performing, how many views we're getting, right? How much money we're making. Seasonality definitely has a big impact. What's happening in the larger pop culture world, right? And so, you know, going through a period of a bit of a lull should never come as a surprise to any of us. But also, you know, there are peaks and spikes and good times too. Case in point, the character build video that I just put out this week, the Cleric Assassin, check it out in the corner up there if you haven't seen it yet. The Holy Blade, right, is currently kind of killing everything that I've done in the last several months as far as view count goes. It's number 1 of 10 when compared to the last 10. And I think the last time I had a video that ranked number 1 in views compared to the last 10 was like September. It has been a winter of discontent, numbers wise. So I'm saved, right? Everything's good, problem solved, everything's sunshine and daisies from here on out. No, that would be naive, of course. But I think it is a little bit illustrative of the way things tend to go for us content creators here on this platform. But this kind of brings me to my main point that I think I might have a little bit of a unique perspective on here. Most content creators on this platform who make D&D content make mostly D&D content. There are some exceptions to that, of course. But yeah, there's a good reason for it, and it's because D&D is the most popular TTRPG in the world, and when you create content for it, you tend to get more views. But with my particular channel, I've had some times where I've kind of veered off of that D&D path for an extended period. And the results of that have been interesting, really good, but also with some downsides. So a couple of years ago, in the middle of the whole OGL debacle, right, that we all probably remember, people were a little bit sour on Wizards of the Coast and D&D as a result, and Hasbro, of course. Admittedly, I was a little sour on them myself, and so I started thinking, you know, maybe it's time to explore doing some Pathfinder content. The second biggest elephant in the room, I suppose. And so I created a series of videos that were kind of geared towards helping D&D veterans understand how Pathfinder works, learn how to play Pathfinder, right? Check them out there if you're interested in seeing them. They performed very well. I think within a couple of weeks, I'd probably had more views on those videos than almost any other video that I'd ever created. Makes sense. It was top of mind. A lot of people were Pathfinder curious, and a lot of people who enjoy Pathfinder are always interested in more content, right? And so as a result of those videos performing so well, I decided, okay, I'm going to start doing some Pathfinder builds as well as D&D 5e builds. The first build that I did performed really well. The second one did okay, a little less. The third one, even less so, the fourth, the fifth, etc., until it got to the point where my Pathfinder build videos were vastly underperforming my D&D 5e build videos, at which point I decided to just go back to D&D content exclusively. This is, after all, my livelihood, right? But what I found was that even though those Pathfinder videos had brought in a lot of new subscribers to my channel, and the initial videos at least performed really well, I effectively split my audience. I had a lot of new viewers, but they were primarily or even only interested in Pathfinder. And a lot of my existing subscribers and viewers didn't play Pathfinder, weren't planning on it, were really only interested in the D&D stuff. And so when I would drop a video, YouTube would push it out to the normal amount of people, but found that a lower percentage of my regular viewers were watching, whether it was Pathfinder or D&D, because I had split my audience. As a result then, even after I did go back to D&D content exclusively for a while, there was a big lull, right, in my channel growth. I was losing subscribers who were kind of only there for the Pathfinder stuff, and it took a minute for the algorithm to sort of catch up to the split that I had created, right? So they were showing my videos to fewer people, and it wasn't showing up on, even my subscribers' homepage as often, etc. After a few weeks, a few months, things kind of got back to normal. And so overall, I think what I had done was good for the channel, but it led to a big spike and then kind of a bit of a lull for a while until I sort of got back to normal and recovered from the audience split that I'd created. Fast forward a few months and Baldur's Gate 3 came out. I loved the game. I had been actually playing since alpha, and it was a very faithful recreation of D&D 5e in a video game setting, right? With some tweaks, of course. I wasn't originally even planning on creating any Baldur's Gate 3 content, but just a few days before the game kind of went live, I decided on a whim, you know what, maybe there's an audience out there for people looking to do some powerful kind of multi-classing builds, and I figured, I know the game pretty well, I know D&D really well, I know character creation really well, sure. I'll put out my top 5 multi-classing builds for BG3. Check it out there. It almost instantly became my most viewed video ever. I think it's up to 1.2 million now or something like that. And brought in tens of thousands of new subscribers over the course of several weeks. So naturally, I figured, okay, I guess I'm going to do some Baldur's Gate 3 content for a while now, which is great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making those videos. I love the game. It was fun. And I experienced something very similar to what I experienced with Pathfinder, only kind of on steroids, right? The video game audience, no surprise, is a lot bigger than a TTRPG audience. So I started alternating BG3 videos with D&D 5e videos, and yeah, for those first several weeks, the BG3 videos were killing it and outperforming the D&D videos, and I was bringing in lots of new subscribers and getting tons of views, but like with the Pathfinder content, every BG3 video kind of tended to perform worse than the one before it, to the point where after several months, the BG3 content was underperforming the D&D 5e content, and I said, okay, I think it's time to just go back to D&D 5e exclusively, at least for now. And then I saw a big lag in channel growth for an extended period of time as a result, because again, a lot of people came to the channel, found the channel interested exclusively in Baldur's Gate 3. They weren't really planning on playing D&D. To be fair, I think a lot of people did kind of convert over to D&D after falling in love with BG3, and that was great. But by and large, those new views and the new subscribers were kind of Baldur's Gate 3 exclusive viewers. Regardless, again, I think what I did overall was great for the channel, but it did lead to several months of frustration as I saw channel growth slow down, views drop, people were unsubscribing from the channel once they kind of realized I wasn't making any more BG3 content, right? Fast forward to 2024. This last fall, Wizards of the Coast released the 2024 rule set for D&D 5e. And what happened? Well, for most of us that create D&D content who started putting out videos for 2024 stuff, we saw a big boom, right? A lot of people were interested in the new rules and what are they like and what's different and should I buy these new books and should we start playing with these rules instead of the old rules, etc., right? And you saw on just about every D&D channel that was covering the new stuff, big booms in viewership and subscriber count. I saw the same thing myself. That mega 4-hour every change to every class and subclass video that I created back in August, it's up there if you haven't seen it, is one of my most successful videos of all time. In fact, by most metrics, it is my most successful video of all time. And it continues to get a ton of views, thankfully, because it's kind of been keeping me afloat over the last few months. Because yeah, like very similar to what I saw with Pathfinder and with Baldur's Gate, Wizards of the Coast has essentially split our audience for us, for those of us who are making D&D content almost exclusively, right? Because there are a lot of people who are playing with 2024 and planning on converting to 2024, and there are a lot of people who are not, or at least who think they are not. And they're still resisting the change. And, I'm sure plenty of them will stick with 5e or move on to other game systems. But I think what's happened is that while everyone was kind of interested in the 2024 stuff initially, at this point, most people who play D&D 5e have kind of decided, okay, we're just sticking with 2014. And so if I see you put a video out on something that's talking about the 2024 rules, I'm probably not going to watch it. Or I'm in on 2024, I'm going to watch those videos that cover like 2024 content. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like, we'll get to 2024 eventually, but we're in the middle of a 2014 based campaign. We're not going to be switching for 6 months or a year or whatever, right? But the result, I think, of that has been that a lot of my existing subscribers who typically watch my D&D content are not really interested in the videos that I've been putting out over the last, 4 or 5 months. And so it's screwing up the algorithm. YouTube was probably showing my videos to a lot more of my regular viewers several months ago, but when a lot of them stopped clicking on it, then they stopped seeing my videos, right? And I've had people unsubscribe who are like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to do 2024. It looks like he's only doing 2024 rule stuff. So I'm not really interested anymore. And I think a lot of D&D YouTubers are seeing the same thing. But my guess is that for a lot of them, especially those who pretty much just cover D&D stuff, maybe with an occasional foray into something different, they're really being impacted by this. Now, I appreciate that, the normal YouTube peaks and valleys, as well as the stuff that's been happening around WotC effectively splitting our audience for us, doesn't explain everything, especially not why specific individual channels like How to Be a Great GM and Man Shorts have decided to throw in the towel. I think it probably explains a little. Looking at specific individual channels, the bigger factors probably are, the usual YouTube and human things. We got to create content that engages existing and new viewers. We got to make good thumbnails and titles that are going to make people want to click on the video, etc., etc. And I'm under no illusion that the same kind of thing will never happen to me or my channel one day. There's a very high likelihood that it might get to the point where the algorithm has decided that people just aren't as interested in my videos as they used to be, and they stop putting me on people's homepages, and I start getting fewer and fewer clicks, right? But until it does, I will just keep doing my best to make content that I think you guys will want to watch. And yeah, it kind of sucks that the YouTube recommended homepage doesn't really show you much based on your subscriptions. Bob World Builder did a great video on this recently. Do I have cards left? I think I do. But instead, our homepage usually shows us stuff based on just what we've actually been watching lately. But then again, does that really suck? I mean, I guess it kind of sucks for those of us who are counting on our subscriber base to keep us afloat. Thank goodness for channel members and patrons, right? You guys are the real ones keeping us afloat during the downtimes, especially. You are amazing. Thank you. But for those who are just kind of starting out on their YouTube journey, still trying to gain traction, it's kind of nice actually that the homepage shows us what they think we're interested in and what we're going to click on and watch. It gives those smaller channels more of an opportunity, I think, than they otherwise would have. So I guess in the end, those of us who have been doing this for a little while can only ask those of you watching and subscribed to click on the channels that you subscribe to a little more frequently, if you're not in the habit of doing so, since the homepage will rarely just serve you up a video from like every single channel that you're subscribed to, right? Regardless of whether or not you have notifications turned on. For those of you who do, for those of you who watch, thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. We all do. And for those who are really concerned about whether or not YouTube D&D is dying, I really don't think it is. I think we're experiencing a bit of a lull, largely as a result from the split in our audience due to, the new rules being introduced. But I think over time, if we're patient, we'll see a little bit of a resurgence. The algorithm will figure it out. More and more people, I think, will start converting over to the new rules. And everything is going to be okay for most of us for a while. And hopefully if, our individual channels start to falter and fail, we'll be able to pivot into something else that still allows us to be creative and do what we love and make a living at it. So anyways, that's my 2 cents, or 200 cents, I suppose. I can't say anything fast. But I love you guys. You're awesome. Thanks for watching, and take care.